Hey everyone, it's Carissa Wiley at sprinkledwithglitter.com. Thanks for joining me today. Today I am sharing a fun peekaboo window card that features some brand new products from Concord 9th. Their April 2024 release is out today, and I had the pleasure of creating some samples with the entire release. So here's a sneak of everything that I created. Well, not everything, there's actually a few more. But I wanted to show you how this Everything About You die set works because it is so unique. It allows you to create kind of these peekaboo window cards, and I'm going to create kind of a faux trifold card design today. So this die set centers around these unique dies that kind of create these viney windows, and it'll make a little more sense as I use it, but there are 3 different dies and they layer up to create a beautiful window effect. Now there's also some greenery and some floral pieces, and I'll be using some of those from the die set as well. And there's also the Everything About You stamp set. Now these are little stamp sentiments that are designed to kind of work around that word you that's going to really be the focal point of your card. Now here's a look at the colors I'm using today. I have Concord 9th Rainforest, Juniper, Sea Glass, Nectar, of course, Watermelon, and Stardust. And I'm just going to be using these to create a different kind of variation of greens within my vines. Now I'm starting out with an A2 size white card base from Concord 9th white cardstock. So this is cut to 5.5 by 8.5 and scored at 4.25. Now here is a look at all 3 of the dies, and I have them in order for you, and we're going to go through the order that they need to be in. Now there's also the shadow die, so you can use these with or without the shadow die, and I'll give you an example of a card that I created, kind of using it as a standalone instead of a window. Now this is layer number 1, or the topmost layer, and you'll know this one because there are 2 vines going through the letter O. Now the middle layer has this smaller vine in that lower corner. It's going to be the lower left-hand corner when you actually die cut it from your cardstock. And layer number 3, or the most furthest back layer, the most furthest back, has the larger vine in that window of the O. So this is the one I'm actually going to die cut from my card base to start out with. So layer number 3, or the backmost layer of these layered dies. Now I'm starting by die cutting it with my card base open, and I kind of placed it at an angle on my card front, and I'm holding it in place using a little bit of mint tape from scrapbook.com. And then I'm going to run this through my Anna Griffin impress machine. Whatever die cut machine you have will work for this. And you can see that this unique window is created on my card front. So I have that word U with the little vines kind of suspended within that window. Now, because I don't want my vines in this particular window to be white, I'm going to use layer number 3 again, but this time I'm going to die cut it with the shadow layer. So I'm nestling the 2 dies inside of each other. I'm holding them in place with some mint tape again, and I'm going to die cut this from some Rainforest cardstock. And if you have not tried the new Rainforest color from Concord 9th, I mean, it's not new anymore. Came out in February, but it's one of their newer colors for 2024, and I absolutely love it. So here is what that same die looks like when you use the shadow layer with it, and I'm going to layer this over the top of that white card base in just a moment. Now I'm taking layer number 2, and remember, this is the one with the smaller vine in that lower corner, and I'm going to die cut this from some Sea Glass cardstock, and I'm also using the shadow layer to die cut this layer. So I'm going to nestle those inside of each other again. I'm going to hold them in place with some mint tape, and I'm going to run that through my die cut machine. And once again, I have another layer of my window die cut and ready to go. So here's what that looks like. And then it's time to die cut the first layer, or the foremost layer of this die. And once again, I am using that shadow die, and I'm also nestling some greenery on here. And this is Concord 9th Juniper cardstock. So this is what the front layer, or layer number 1, looks like. Now, while I'm doing my die cutting, I'm going to create a banner, and I am using this brand new die set. This is called We Are Family. Has this great banner, but it also has all of these kind of family-oriented words that have not only the word, but the shadow die included as well. So it's like mom, dad, brother, sister, niece, nephew, grandma, grandpa, cousin. It's got great words. I'm just using the banner today. So now it's time to start assembling. Now, if you want to leave your card base like this, you can, but I did not want those vines to be white, but I did want a white card base. And so you'll remember that I die cut the third layer, or the backmost layer, from the Rainforest cardstock. So I'm taking that layer, I'm adding some liquid glue, and I'm going to line it up right over the greenery that's already die cut, or the window that's die cut from my actual card base. And I'm just going to lay that in place and glue it down. This layer is completely optional. If you wanted to start with a colored card base instead, you could. Now I'm taking layers number 1 and 2, and I'm going to add some liquid glue to the back of my top layer here. And I am going to line it up over that middle layer, which is cut from the sea glass cardstock. And I'm just going to kind of scoot those together until the outline of those are matched up and they're well aligned. And I like to use liquid glue for this because it gives me a little bit of wiggle room if I don't get it placed exactly correct the first time. So you'll see me just kind of pressing those together, kind of sliding it into place. And now layer 1 and layer 2 are adhered together. Now you could put this directly onto layer number 3 if you wanted to, which is already on our card base, but I wanted to add a little bit of drama to this window by adding some dimension. So I'm using these really thin foam adhesive strips from scrapbook.com, and I'm just putting them in the larger areas of this die cut U word or window so that I can lay that on top of the window that's already created on my card base. Now, if you didn't want to deal with foam adhesive, you could cut an additional couple layers out of white cardstock, like layer number 2 with the shadow die, and use those to build up the dimension, but I didn't mind doing the little bit of foam adhesive here. So I removed the backer from the foam tape and I placed this right over the outline that was already on my card, and you can see this really beautiful window, kind of a peekaboo window with all these vines. And I love the different layers because it gives you dimension and it also gives you variation in color. Now I want to create kind of a faux trifold card here because I wanted this beautiful nectar cardstock to show through the window that I created on my card base, but I didn't want to adhere it directly to the back of the card front because I wanted there to be kind of some space created. So I've taken this panel of nectar cardstock and just scored it at 1/4 inch and added a little bit of double-sided adhesive to that flap. And I'm going to nestle that inside of my card. So this is going to allow me to flip this down kind of like a faux trifold card. I could have created an actual trifold card design, but I thought this was just as easy and it accomplished the look that I was going for. It also hides the message that you write inside. So you can see I have all this layer and color going on. It's looking absolutely beautiful. Now this "are my favorite person" sentiment is what I'm going to use on the banner, but it's a straight sentiment. So I wanted to show you how I'm going to get this to curve to the shape of my banner. I've placed my acrylic block right over the top layer of that banner, and I am just forming the stamp to the curve of that banner right on my acrylic block with the actual stamped image facing up. So the part I'm going to ink was facing up. Then I'm just partially inking my stamp because it says "are my favorite person," but I didn't want the word person. I just wanted it to say "you are my favorite." So I only inked a part of that stamp and stamped it with some watermelon ink onto my nectar cardstock banner piece. I added a little bit of nectar ink blending. The color kind of seems off in the video, but once it dries back, it looks absolutely beautiful and gives it a little bit of depth to that banner. And now I'm adhering this all together using layers of foam adhesive, and I'm going to nestle that right underneath that window that I've created on my card base. Now to finish this card off, I wanted to add a little bit of greenery. So this was die cut from some juniper cardstock, and it is also from the Everything About You die set. And I'm just going to nestle it onto this lower corner of this banner here. And I'm going to add some of the floral pieces. Now, these little floral pieces are designed to actually layer over that window that we created, so that U window. But I'm going to use a few of these on the edges of my card or on this greenery and banner here. So I've die cut them from Stardust cardstock, watermelon cardstock, and nectar cardstock, and I'm just placing a few on this greenery piece over here. And then on the window, you will find these little dots that are created. Those are actually the landing places for the florals that are in the die set. So I'm just going to add a little liquid glue to those 3 dots that are on my window. And I'm going to add my floral pieces right onto that liquid glue that I've placed there. And I think this is such a genius part of the design, and it really makes it obvious of where these kind of get placed. But I also think that they're not too distracting, so if you wanted to skip the florals, you absolutely could. So I'm going to finish off my card with some of the Concord 9th gold enamel dots. I've used them in the center of some of the flowers and just kind of scattered them around the card front as well. And this completes my faux trifold card design with this beautiful peekaboo window created with this Everything About You die set. I think this is so fun and so unique. And there's so many different ways that you can use this, because you can use it as a window on the card like I've done here, or you can use it as a standalone element as well. And here is a card that I created using it as a standalone element. So I die cut the shadow layer and did some ink blending directly on that shadow layer without any of the inner dies. Then I die cut layers 2 and 3 just from some white cardstock, stacked those up and slightly offset them. And this turned out to be a really beautiful card as well. Now, in addition, you could also use this die set to create a really fun shaker window for your card. So I can't wait to try that out as well. I absolutely love this brand new Everything About You die set from Concord 9th. As always, Concord 9th never fails to give us fun and unique designs, and I think this one fits that bill as well. Now, as I mentioned before, Concord 9th has their brand new April 2024 release out today, so I will have a link to that in the YouTube description below. I will also have links to the featured products used in these projects in the YouTube description, so you can check those out. And over at my blog, I will have a complete list of supplies, more information, some more still shots, and I'll also give you a look at some of the other cards that I created with this brand new release. Stay tuned here to my YouTube channel, because throughout the month, I will be sharing more inspiration featuring the April 2024 release from Concord 9th. I loved playing with it. The Best Friend Vibes bundle. You gotta check that one out. Because I had a great time playing with that one as well. Thank you so much for watching. Thanks for stopping by today. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, be sure to give this video a thumbs up. And don't forget to subscribe and turn on the notifications here so you don't miss any of my card making and paper crafting video tutorials. Thanks for hanging out with me today. I'm so glad you're here. And until next time, I hope you have a fabulous day.